You think you have no self-control. You're wrong. The average person checks their phone over 90 times a day. Once every 10 minutes you're awake. That's not a habit. That's a 2 million-year-old survival instinct, hijacked by a machine built to exploit it. Here's the question nobody asks. Why does it feel so good to check, even when there's nothing there? You pick up your phone. No notification. No reason. You just look. 30 seconds later, you put it down, not even sure what you were searching for. This happens dozens of times a day, and almost nobody notices it happening. To understand why, we need to go back to a researcher who never owned a smartphone, because it hadn't been invented yet. In the 1950s, psychologist B.F. Skinner ran an experiment that would, decades later, explain exactly why you can't put your phone down. He trained pigeons to peck a lever for food. Sometimes the lever gave food every time. Sometimes it gave food only occasionally, unpredictably. The pigeons getting food every time pecked casually. The pigeons getting food unpredictably pecked obsessively, far more than the ones being reliably rewarded. Skinner called this variable ratio reinforcement, and it produces the most compulsive behavior of any reward pattern ever studied. Here's the part that surprised even Skinner. He tried something called extinction, turning off the reward completely, removing food from the lever entirely. The pigeons that had been rewarded reliably stopped pecking almost immediately. They understood, correctly, that the lever no longer worked. But the pigeons that had been rewarded unpredictably kept pecking. Hundreds of times. Thousands, in some trials. They couldn't tell the difference between, no reward right now, and, no reward ever, because unpredictability had trained them to keep checking no matter what. This is, almost exactly, what happens when you keep refreshing a feed that has nothing new on it. Your phone runs on exactly this pattern. Sometimes you check it and there's something. A message, a like, a notification. Sometimes there's nothing. You never know which one it'll be. That unpredictability isn't an accident. It's the same mechanism that makes slot machines profitable, and it's built directly into the apps on your home screen. But there's a deeper layer to this, and it's older than Skinner's pigeons by about 2 million years. In the 1990s, neuroscientist Wolfram Schultz at the University of Cambridge discovered something strange about dopamine, the brain chemical associated with pleasure. Dopamine doesn't spike when you get a reward. It spikes when the reward is uncertain. The anticipation, not the result, is what your brain is chasing. In Schultz's experiments with monkeys, dopamine activity was actually higher during unpredictable reward conditions than during the moment of receiving the reward itself. The waiting was the reward. The result was almost beside the point. This makes sense once you understand what your brain was originally built to do. For most of human history, humans were foragers. Anthropologists studying groups like the Hadza in Tanzania have documented a behavior called patch switching. A forager checks a bush for berries. If it's empty or low yield, they move to the next patch. Check, move, check, move. This wasn't laziness or distraction, it was an efficient survival strategy. Don't waste time at an empty patch. Keep checking. The next one might be full. There's actually a mathematical model behind this, called the marginal value theorem, developed by ecologists studying animal foraging behavior in the 1970s. It predicts almost exactly when an animal, or a human forager, should abandon a depleting resource patch and move to a new one, based on how quickly the current patch is running dry compared to the expected value of switching. Foragers who followed this instinct closely got more calories for less effort. Foragers who lingered too long at empty patches, or who switched too early from productive ones, didn't survive as well. Over hundreds of thousands of years, this checking and switching behavior got built directly into the reward circuitry of the human brain. It's not a learned habit. It's structural. Let's picture this. An ancestral forager walks through dense brush. She checks a low shrub, nothing. She checks another a few meters away, 3 berries. She eats them, then checks the next patch. This rhythm, check move, runs on the same uncertain reward dopamine system Schultz documented thousands of years later. It kept her alive, because food was scarce, and patches genuinely ran out. Now picture a modern person scrolling. Check a feed, nothing interesting. Swipe. Check again, Something good. Swipe. Check again. Nothing. The exact same check move rhythm. The exact same dopamine system. The only thing that changed is the patch. And here's the uncomfortable part. In the ancestral environment, patches ran out. Eventually you'd checked every bush nearby and there was nothing left to check, so you stopped, rested, moved on with your day. Your phone has no such limit. The patches are infinite. There is always another feed, another notification, another patch to check, engineered specifically to never run dry, by people who understand the dopamine system better than most neuroscientists. This isn't speculation. Former tech executives, including people who worked directly on early social media products, have publicly described deliberately engineering features around exactly this kind of unpredictable reward loop, because they knew it would keep people checking. This is the twist almost nobody considers. You're not weak-willed. You're not lacking discipline. You have a foraging instinct that evolved in a world of scarcity, now operating inside an environment of artificial, engineered abundance. The instinct is doing exactly its job. The environment is the problem, not your character. It gets stranger still. In the ancestral environment, the cost of checking a patch was physical. You had to walk there, bend down, look. That small cost acted as a natural brake on how often you could realistically check. Your phone removed the brake entirely. Checking now costs almost nothing, a glance, a flick of the thumb. Which means the one thing that used to naturally limit foraging frequency has been engineered out of the system completely. You're running ancient software with the safety limiter physically removed. Which raises an uncomfortable question about modern life. What happens to a brain built for scarcity when it's placed inside infinite abundance, on purpose, by companies whose revenue depends on it never feeling satisfied? Maybe the answer isn't more willpower. Maybe it's recognizing that the urge to check isn't a flaw in you. It's a feature working exactly as designed, just not designed for your benefit. Your ancestors checked patches because patches eventually ran empty. Yours never will. And until you understand that difference, the checking will never feel like a choice. Maybe the goal isn't to stop checking. Maybe it's just knowing why you do. If this changed how you see your own habits, subscribe, drop a comment, and let's keep digging into this together.